taking your time from your super busy schedule, trying to put things together. You are the director and the founder of the International Voices Choir in Bonn. I will just let you first say hello.
Hello, Theda. It's very nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm extremely honoured to be on the programme. And I'm very glad that you could accommodate this morning meeting rather than an evening one. I wish I could say it's because I'm going to bed, but it's actually because I have the school's AGM this evening.
Oh my God.
It will not be a fun and relaxing evening tonight, that's for sure. But I'll think to go to bed early when I'm doing the AGM.
Well, technology is an awesome thing. The only thing we can't do, in pre-recorded days is that we can't take live questions, but don't worry about that. I have like tons of questions I want to ask you. So first and foremost, let's talk about the food.
Right, okay, my weak point, just so we can start off there.
Yeah, what is your relationship with food? I'm obsessed. But...
Okay. Good, I am not obsessed by food, but I have found a recipe that I think is appropriate for me. As you know, I have slightly cheated on the number of ingredients that I've used. But this is a recipe that was taught to me by my mum. It's a very traditional British recipe, and it's actually for a Victoria sponge cake. This is very much a sociable piece of food that you would enjoy with friends, family, and usually with people that are not English, so you want to demonstrate the English cuisine to them.
Oh, that's lovely. So what is in it?
Okay, so I have already started off with the butter and sugar, but we're just going to call that one ingredient so I can stick to the 3 ingredients. And I'm going to add eggs and just very carefully stir those into the mixture, and then some self-raising flour. And self-raising flour is one of those things that when you come from one country and you just assume that the whole world has self-raising flour or pillows of the same size, and then you get to a new country and you realise it's something totally unique where you can't get self-raising flour. So this is like gold dust self-raising flour. My children are not allowed to touch it.
What is the special thing about that? I mean, why is it different?
It has yeast in it to help cakes rise. So I think in Germany, what they have is lots and lots of different types of flours. I think 506 at the last count when I went into the supermarket, but not one of them is plain and not one of them is self-raising. So I have to get.
Yeah, you usually use baking powder here.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, which not always works. Well, we just had breakfast here. I'm going to be preparing some lunch stuff for myself. It's going to be a this is a mushroom, brown mushroom, red onion, and some celery. I'm just going to be making a mushroom salad with raw mushrooms. You have to really thinly slice them, and then you put them in the in the dish, and then really thinly sliced red onions and thinly sliced celery, and then you can put some vinegar, salt, lemon juice maybe, and olive oil, and you're done. By the way, we don't count sugar as an ingredient, so you're perfect. Yeah.
I try to not count sugar when I'm.
Yeah, you did perfectly.
Healthier than my recipe, that's for sure.
Let's talk about what you're doing in Bonn. I find the background history really, really beautiful and interesting. So you come to Bonn and then you start a choir. What moved you to do it?
It was a series of sort of very fortunate events, I think. When I came 10 years ago, I was a music teacher in London. I wanted to try something slightly new. And I had this idea to start up an adult choir because for myself, I was very concerned about making connections to people, socializing, making friends. I was leaving my family. I was leaving all my friends behind. It was the first time I was an expat. And at the time in the UK, there was a sort of explosion of adult choirs. And I think primarily they were very popular because the social side to them. So I thought, well, an expat community are going to have a lot of people with time and this incentive to do something new, try something out, and make connections to other people. And although initially it probably started off as, for myself, a kind of musical challenge, it very rapidly evolved into, I think, pretty much a social club in which the activity happened to be singing. And the singing side of it has probably never been its main driver.
Well, I have met a lot of your singers. We're friends, the bond connection. So how would you describe, it's an amateur choir, but how did you recruit the first singers? How did you convince them that they should be doing this? It's so interesting and beautiful.
Well, I would say that the wonderful thing about expats is they're very open-minded and they are very motivated to try new things. When I moved here, my sister said, she gave me some advice. She'd been an expat, and she said, be open to everything and try anything. And I would definitely say that is the mindset of the people that I've generally met. So I think in the first week, I went to one of these, to be honest, they're kind of ghastly coffee mornings where you are, for the first time, it's completely terrifying, I have to say, trying to think of things to talk about to people that you don't know. Now I am brilliant at that kind of mindless conversation, but at the time, I wasn't. So very quickly we got onto the conversation, what do you do? And then I told the person I was speaking to, yes, I'm a musician and I would like to try this choir. And the parents who were there helped me make this happen, put me in contact with the people that I needed to be in contact with. And then they had this invested interest in it to make it successful. So they set about recruiting willing victims, I'd like to say. But it started off small, with maybe 12 people. And that first year, it was wonderful, but it was a little bit rocky because if you have 12 people in a choir and 2 don't show up, or half don't show up, you've got a very small group. Singing is something that people find, I think, quite scary when they start. They don't want to expose themselves. So it took that first year, I think, really to get to a number of members where we could start to relax. And so, quite early on, I realized that this was what I needed to do. So straight away, we were performing at school events, talking to people, anything that came up, we said yes to. And when people see you and they see it as being a little bit more normal, and yeah, it really sort of went from there. Now we have, and have had for the last few years, we have almost 100 members. And
wow.
This is despite the fact that the international community changes a lot, people leave, people come, but it snowballs. Once you get to about 30 people, then suddenly it's the club that everyone wants to join. And I've always stressed, and everyone stresses, that being able to sing or having experience does not matter at all.
Yeah.
I say the only thing you need is a pulse, but it's not a new musical pulse.
Well,
I'm just going to pop them in.
Oh, look at this! Excellent. Well, how about once you kind of go and recruit your members for the choir, who are amateurs, as you've mentioned, do people think we can't sing? There is no way we can be part of this. Oh my God, I will never be able to perform in front of a public. And so how do you go about these challenges?
Yeah, everyone says that, even singers who I think are utterly brilliant. And I often hear, I was always told not to sing at school. I mean, either there were a lot of music teachers that did that, or people really make that up, or they imagine that happened to them. So there is a massive reticence about singing, but then singing in a choir is very, it disguises you. You don't have to be a brilliant individual singer, and being in a choir creates this sort of wave, momentum that people can join in with. And yes, they just sort of get carried along with this wave when they're singing in choir. And I think you also really have to focus on what people's experiences are while they're singing, and really understand what they are going to experience, how you can help them overcome those problems, the initial problems, the problems when you're learning music, and try to make that experience pleasurable for them.
Let's go a little bit more into detail, because singing also means learning how to use your body, learning how to use your breath, learning how to use your, how do you say, the diaphragm. So what does learning about all of those things teach us about ourselves?
Yes, quite a lot, I would say. It's fun. I mean, you are a musician, and you've talked about some very technical aspects to singing and producing sound there. And actually, my focus in choir is to kind of sneak those technical aspects in and focus on the pleasure and enjoyment and the joy that comes from singing together. So what I do notice, more than what the technical aspects of singing teaches people, is the mental aspects of having these challenges, such as performing, overcoming that fear, and not just overcoming the fear, but forcing yourself to enjoy performances. You know, I listened to your TEDx talk. It was very, very interesting. And you talked about when you were performing, how it was all about having nerves of steel. And it didn't sound, I mean, you talked about this, that it wasn't a very creative process, but you know, for my performers, for my choir, if they don't enjoy the performance, there is no point doing it at all. You know, they have got to enjoy it. You've got to force yourself to enjoy it, force yourself to relax, and then it's that joy that comes across in the performance that I think is what makes our choir wonderful to listen to, rather than those technical aspects.
How many performances do you guys do?
A lot. As many as possible whenever we get asked. We've actually streamlined it a little bit more now. Now we're not so desperate to recruit new members. We do two main ones. We do a Christmas concert, which obviously is quite traditional, and we do a gala every year. So the gala is really a social event, and we also fundraise at the galas as well. So it's a kind of philanthropic. It brings out the generous and charitable aspects of coming together as a group.
That's beautiful. And I mean, so at least 2 concerts per year for the members of the choir. So how does I mean, if people just come in and they're spending 1 year in Bonn and then they have to leave after that, I mean, isn't it sad? How do you manage this going back and forth between different members all the time?
You know, that is sad whether you're in a choir or not. And actually, if you are in the choir, you've only got a year, it does really help you make those connections. We're currently learning a song called Memories by Maroon 5, and there's a line in it, "My heart feels like December when somebody say your name." And actually, that is how I feel about a lot of the people that have left. When people mention them, it's a bittersweet feeling when you remember these people that have left, but it is part of the joy of this environment that you get this sort of constant influx of wonderful people coming in, sadly leaving as well. And I'm definitely moving towards making friends with Germans who stay.
Yeah, well, and let's talk about Corona. I mean, that has had an impact in the work of everyone, but especially, you know, you have a very social aspect, of course, with being in a choir, coming together. So how do you go about that?
Well, and we talked earlier about being innovative and trying to stay ahead of the curve. I think there's definitely the potential out there to create some platform where people can sing together, because at the moment, that is extremely difficult. We use Zoom and we meet up every week, but as you probably know, there's a time delay with Zoom, and you cannot tolerate any time delay, not even milliseconds, because then the music comes apart. So it definitely, Zoom has its drawbacks, but it has incredible benefits, and it's about sort of focusing on those benefits if you want to be innovative. So one of the wonderful things about Zoom is that anyone can join from all over the world. So we've had all these ex-members come back again and join, and we are singing together. And this is actually why we're singing the song Memories, because in a few weeks' time we're doing an online gala. I don't know what that's.
Oh wow! we
And
should we,
the song.
we should publicize it.
No, there's too many technical problems already. Yeah, and let us try it out first.
Yeah.
And then if it's hugely successful, then we can publicise it afterwards. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so that's one of the benefits. And the other thing about Zoom is it's very visual. So it's not very good with the audio, or it's not very good with
Mm.
singing and making music together. There's some significant challenges there. But visually, it's wonderful. So we are doing a lot of songs with dance routines now. And normally what happens in a choir when we do a dance routine is the women are, I'm sorry to be sexist about this, but the women are generally quite brilliant and the men are generally absolutely hopeless, with a couple of who are usually Portuguese. And actually, when you do a Zoom dance rehearsal, everyone's kind of a little bit hopeless because everyone's sort of waving their arms around in these slightly random time frames. It's wonderful. It's very funny. It's very funny.
Well, so what is one of those like warm ups you do?
Okay, so I do a warm up, which is one of my favourite warm ups. It is not a favourite warm up with my choir, I can tell you, and it's to the tune of "My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean." I don't know if you know it. So the tune is "My Bonnie lies over the ocean, my Bonnie lies over the sea, my Bonnie lies over the ocean. Oh, bring back my Bonnie to me." So it's very very simple tune, very simple lyrics. This is one of the challenges of teaching a choir that has a broad range of nationalities. You don't have common songs, so it's got to be straightforward. And in this song, as you know, when you're a musician, especially if you're in a choir, you have to often stand quickly or sit down quickly, smoothly. If you are sitting down and singing, you actually have to be sitting in a certain way so that you are ready to sing, so that your body is lifted. So in this warm-up, when you sing a B, you have to stand up. And or if you're standing up, you have to sit down. This is easy at the beginning because it's "My Bonnie lies over the ocean, my Bonnie lies over the sea." But it gets a little bit more difficult when you sing "Bring back my Bonnie to me" and later on in the chorus. There's a lot of that, and there's a lot of men just sort of, I don't know why physically things are so difficult. But, yeah, it's a fun thing to do. It's a really good icebreaker. Not perhaps right at the beginning of choir, or you put too many people off, but it's a fun thing to do that gets people going. But
that's brilliant.
Sorry, I said that. But when we do, when I say dance routines, what I mean is that when we're learning a song, we put sort of dance movements to it. So that's
why is it important to put dance movements in?
Why is it important to dance when you're singing? That is a question that my choir often ask me. Well, I think it enhances enjoyment. I think if you ask that question in some other cultures, African cultures, for example, they would say music, singing, dancing, moving, that is all one thing, and that you would never separate them. And I actually, I think that is wonderful. And if you're hoping for people to relax, they have to physically be relaxed. And moving around does certainly help that. If you're very stiff and tense when you're singing, you are not going to get a good sound.
Has that ever happened to you that you weren't able to get to the bones of a person?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
That's why it's quite important to have several mediums through which to communicate. So, for example, I have a few Japanese and Korean ladies in my choir, and I find certain nationalities much easier to read. I find Japanese people are slightly harder to read. They're not as demonstrative they don't have so many sort of facial expressions, or make so many facial expressions, that I can read easily as some other nationalities. And I have this wonderful new soprano called Mika who joins this year, And, you know, often people are quite quiet at the beginning. They come in, they haven't made the connections, they haven't started relaxing. So, and I think this has been the case for Mika. She comes in, she sings beautifully, even though she was one of those people that says, I can't sing, but anyway, she's just being very modest, massively more talented than anyone else. And then we did, for Zoom, this I Will Survive. I don't know, I'm sure you know I Will Survive.
Gloria Gaynor?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
This had a dance routine. And what I wanted people, we did a video. So I asked people to video themselves and send this video in. And, you know, I could have predicted who were going to be the first people to send it in. And much to my amazement, the third video that came in was from Mika. And I thought, there is no way that Mika would do this. And I watched the video, and yeah, she was brilliant. She had dressed up, she had full makeup, she did the entire dance routine and singing at the same time absolutely perfectly while sticking to her part. It was unbelievable. We had, for example, we had this one movement where you sort of have to, you know, shake your arms like this, and she had done it in this very beautiful Japanese style. And I just thought, oh, it was absolutely beautiful. So I wrote back to her and I said, Mika, you know, this is wonderful. I was so surprised and delighted to receive it. You were great. Thanks very much. And she wrote back to me an email and she said, well, Tanya, at first I was afraid, I was petrified, but I learned how to get along. I was so amazed. I mean, I fell on the floor laughing. I just said, that's awesome. And actually, kind of in a nutshell, that is the why you have those challenges. At first, everyone is afraid, everyone is petrified. You do learn to get over that, or maybe that just comes with time, maybe it comes with learning or training, but you come over that, and then overcoming those challenges, that fear is what sort of releases this creative energy. And I see that in other people. It was just, this is the first time someone had written it like that. I thought it was just wonderful.
That's such a beautiful story, and also it highlights one of the aspects of being in a multicultural choir. So you must be feeling like someone who serves between all of those different cultures. What did you learn in the last 10 years from this experience?
Oh, I've learned so much. I mean, that's what's made it so interesting. And I think the main thing I've learned is that I've still got a lot to learn. You know, that you're always learning, you know, things are always changing. And actually that's what makes a choir creative and dynamic, is this constantly evolving process. I would like to say I've taken this corona crisis as a kind of opportunity to do things differently, to really focus on the benefits of Zoom. I'm quite excited about the online gala next week. I'm terrified about all the technical aspects of it. Yeah, I'm pretty excited that it's going to be something different, and it's going to really serve it's the choir's initial purpose of connecting to people when you have challenges. It's not just cultural, national challenges, it's now the fact that we are all isolated and quarantined, those challenges. Let me just grab my thoughts before they burn.
Yeah, I'm also almost done. So how is your food going?
It's great, they are out. And to go with my cakes, this is very important. One of the wonderful aspects about being in this international group is these very interesting, exciting people that you meet. And everyone is interesting. Everyone has a story. Everyone brings something new. And last year we had a couple, and he was an astronaut. And I was very good friends with his wife, Rebecca. She was wonderful. I miss her very much. She's definitely someone whose name makes my heart feel like December. And Tim was one of these amazing people that could do everything, but what he could do really well was make tea. So before he left, I got him to teach me how he made his amazing tea. And you know, if you're British, Tim, if you're Turkish, extremely important. And there was a method that I was not employing, which was why his tea was massively superior to mine. So first of all, I'm going to heat up my teapot. Okay, this is a very important part of the process. You can probably hear my kettle boiling away. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of boiling water in there. And probably, like most people, my tea before I met Tim was a tea bag in the cup that went in. Take it out, put it in the sink, and then drink it. That is not the way.
That's not the, yeah.
So a few minutes to just warm up.
Yeah, and I think I want to decorate my salad. So just let me go get some. Oh. What is this called in English? The green.
Is that parsley?
Yes, parsley. Perfect. Yeah, exactly.
I've got some parsley, but it's the other type of parsley.
The curly one.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm almost done. So, actually, we're also almost at the end of our conversation. So, one important thing is that I see what you have done, and that you see what I have done. And see, ta-da!
Oh, that's beautiful. That looks much healthier than mine.
Oh yeah, it looks beautiful. I think my family is going to look forward. Yeah, so this is all raw mushrooms, brown mushrooms, red onions, some lemon juice, olive oil, salt, and then you can decorate with parsley. Ta-ta, and you're done.
Wow.
It's a great salad. It goes almost with everything, and you can also just enhance it by putting lentils in it, for instance, and then it's like a full meal.
Do you post these recipes anywhere? Can I follow up?
Actually, I think that's an awesome idea, and we should do that because obviously, entrepreneurs, people who are busy, have very little time. And mostly their fridges are empty because nobody goes shopping. So we have now collected over 60 recipes that go with 3 ingredients in less than 30 minutes because everybody finishes during the show. So.
Wow, that is impressive. Okay, those sound like recipes that I want to know about. So I'm just going to get
my Well, Tanya, come back. Yeah, perfect.
I'm just getting my tea to pour it. I don't want
awesome. Oh, this is such a British tradition, isn't it? Yes.
It's very important,
Yeah, you take pride in your teas. I know.
There's a challenge, but then you overcome it, and it allows you to connect to other people. The whole world can be summarized by a cup of tea.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so beautiful. And I want to really, really thank you for joining me today, and I'm looking forward to hearing a glimpse into the British humor.
Okay. Oh dear. So, most of my jokes are spontaneous, to be honest. But I did look up some music jokes. But actually, I do tell a joke when I tend to tell this joke. I have one standard joke for when technology is going wrong, which in meetings happens very often, to be honest. And you have to, while you're sort of rebooting your system, you have to kind of talk about nonsense to keep people sort of with you and engaged. So this is the joke that I'll tell. It's a Shaggy Dog story. So there are 3 people in a car: an engineer, a lawyer, and an IT guy. And the car breaks down, and the engineer says, "Don't worry, I'll get out the car, I'll look under the boot, I'll figure out what's wrong by looking at the engine." Actually, it's probably a mechanic, not an engineer. And the lawyer goes, "No, that's a ridiculous idea, it's raining. Let's get out the manual and read the instructions and see what could have gone wrong." So, this is a joke that I embellish if things are really going wrong with technology, or I make it very short. And then the IT guy goes, no, that's a ridiculous idea. Let's all get out the car and get back in again. And then by then, hopefully, I've rebooted my system, and then we can get on with the choir rehearsal.
Off the car and get back in again. Yeah. Actually, but you wouldn't believe how often that actually works.
I know, and that infuriates me because it doesn't work with choir. Although, actually, if you play your piano piece, you get stuck halfway through. If you just start from the beginning, you can often get over that bump. And again,
you have to. When you're practicing, you really have to find the place where it all kind of goes out of control and find that particular moment and go over and over again. Yeah, well, I have a joke too. What has 4 wheels and flies?
I was really hoping to be able to guess this. 4 wheels. I don't know. What has 4 wheels and flies?
A garbage truck.
That's really. It's a cracker joke. It makes you go, oh.
Exactly. But I love those jokes.
It's
If you,
the fact that you love that joke is really what brings it joy. That's great.
you know, I always like this moment of really. Well, I had lots of moments of really nice inspiration from our conversation today. I want to thank you so much for joining me, for taking the time, for from your busy schedule and joining Entrepreneur's Kitchen, and for your beautiful cake and the beautiful tea. I'm wishing you a wonderful day. Hopefully things will not be too bumpy tonight. And exactly, fingers crossed. And beautiful people out there at the internet watching our stream, tune in for tomorrow's show, please, as well. It's going to be Romy Siegel, who is one of my favorite entrepreneurs from Salzburg. She started the co-working space in Salzburg, where she brings lots of startup people, startup entrepreneurs together, and connect the communities. She's an ecosystem builder, and I think she's loved by everyone here in the community. So thank you again, Tanya, for joining me, and thank you everyone for watching this stream. See you and bye-bye.